There are a bunch of foods that claim to be fantastic for building muscle, but are they actually? Some are great, some are trash. These are the foods that claim to be great at building muscle, but are actually trash. So first of all, what makes a food great for building muscle? I'm looking at three key things here. First thing we're looking at here is protein density. We want foods that are high protein density, foods that have a lot of protein relative to their other macronutrients. The reason for this is protein is going to help us rebuild, regrow, repair muscle fiber. It's very important to be getting enough protein in our body to actually grow muscle tissue. So this is, of course, going to be the first place to start. The second thing we're looking for here is foods high in leucine. Leucine is a branched chain amino acid that helps trigger muscle protein synthesis. So when you get around 2.5 grams of leucine in a sitting, it's going to trigger the mTOR pathway, which is the master regulator of muscle growth. It's going to help trigger muscle protein synthesis so that you're actually building and repairing muscle fiber. If you're eating less than about 1.5 grams of leucine in a meal, you're probably not getting enough leucine to actually trigger muscle protein synthesis. So foods high in leucine is the second thing we're looking for. And the third thing we're looking for is foods with a DIAAS score above 1. What on earth is that? A DIAAS score, or DIAS as I'm going to refer to it from the rest of this video, is the digestible indispensable amino acid score. It's basically a score that rates the quality of a protein based on how well you can actually absorb and digest the protein and the amino acids, and how complete the protein is. Does it have all of the essential amino acids required to build muscle? So if you look at that score, foods that are above or at 1 are going to be high quality, complete protein sources that are going to be great for building muscle. Foods that are between 0.75 and 1 are going to be pretty good, not absolutely optimal by themselves, but not bad. And then foods less than 0.75 are basically incomplete, low quality proteins that you probably can't digest that well. So we're looking for foods above a 1 in terms of their DIAS score. Okay, all that out of the way, what are the top 5 worst foods for building muscle? In at spot number 5, the 5th worst food for building muscle is protein bars. Now, this is a big amorphous term because there's lots of different protein bars. Some are not bad for building muscle. The majority of them absolutely suck. These are the ones that I'm talking about. The average protein bar barely has any protein. Most of them have less than 15 grams of protein. They have a whole lot of calories, and they have the worst ingredient labels that I've ever seen. I mean, if you're someone who is consistently eating protein bars, I guarantee you can't tell me what is in your protein bar. And even if you had that protein bar in front of you and you were reading the ingredient label, you probably couldn't pronounce half the ingredients in that protein bar. These are just full of horrendous ingredients. They're usually full of a lot of calories and not a lot of protein. And when there is protein in them, it's usually low quality proteins that your body can't actually absorb well and are not going to help you build muscle. On top of the fact that a lot of these things have things like sugar alcohols, a lot of different things that are just not good for your gut. You're going to have digestive problems. It's not going to be a great time when you're eating a bunch of protein bars. Now, if you look at even the highest quality, the best of the best protein bars, something with 20 to 30 grams of protein, something with a great quality protein source like whey protein isolate and quite a low amount of calories, you might think, fantastic. That is incredible. But even these incredible top protein bars, that's not all they have. They also have a whole bunch of other ingredients to turn protein powder into a chocolate bar. And it just ends up being a horrendous amount of ingredients that your body can't digest and absorb very well. If you're someone that hasn't ate a lot of protein bars before, try and eat one of those. I guarantee you're not having a fun time in the toilet. You probably got a lot of gas. It is clearly something that our body was not designed to be eating. So protein bars, not going to be a very good option for building muscle. In at spot number 4, the 4th worst food for building muscle, we have plant-based proteins. Now, there are very, very few exceptions to this rule. The majority of protein that you get from plants is not going to help you build muscle in any meaningful way. The majority of plant proteins have very, very low protein for the amount of calories you're getting in, and they also have very low leucine levels. Now, if you look at the DIAS score, the only exceptions are things like soy protein isolate and potato protein concentrate, which are going to have a DIAS score between zero point 0.9 and 0.95. So still not like a complete fantastic protein, but pretty damn good, okay? Who's ever had potato protein concentrate before? Maybe you've had a bit of soy protein isolate. Potato protein, not really a thing. So basically the only option that you have for the plant-based proteins is a soy protein isolate. The next closest thing you have is a pea protein isolate with a DIAS score between 0.75 and 0.82. Everything else is less than 0.7. Literally every single other form of protein that you can get from plants has a DIAS score below 0.7, which means they're all going to be incomplete, low quality proteins that are not going to be adequate by themselves to help you build muscle. You might be thinking, well, what about tofu? What about quinoa? I've heard they're really great options for building muscle. Quinoa, it's got a DIAS score of 0.47 to 0.55. Not a high quality protein. Very low, in fact. Tofu has a DIAS score of between 0.52 and 0.63. So essentially all plant-based proteins are going to be incomplete, low quality protein that's not going to help you build muscle, on top of the fact that you're going to have to take in a whole lot more calories just to get a bit of protein. So I'm sorry, vegans, but unless you're slamming down a bunch of soy protein isolate or potato protein concentrate, you're really going to struggle to find high quality protein sources from plants. So if you think you're going to eat a bunch of beans, or you're going to eat a bunch of quinoa or tofu, or you're going to eat a bunch of rice and it's going to be fantastic, it's not really going to help you out. Now, if you paired some of these protein sources together, for example, you could pair beans and you could pair rice together. This would create a relatively complete protein. But if you're really going to something like rice to get protein, you're going to have to eat so many calories just to get in a little bit of protein. It's just not going to be the best way to do it. So in a spot number 4 was the plant-based proteins. Real quick, if you would like to reach peak performance, I've left no stone unturned to giving you everything that you could possibly need, including an entire course on how to optimize your nutrition. So if that is at all interesting to you, I'll leave a link in the description below. In at spot number 3, we have oats. What? But my favorite bodybuilder eats oats. Oats must be fantastic for building muscle. They're not eating oats to build muscle. They're using this as a slow digesting carbohydrate source. You're not getting high quality or much protein from oats. It's not going to be an effective way of you getting protein in. When we look at 200 calories worth of protein, you're only getting in about 7 grams of protein. And for that same 200 calories, it's only going to be about 0.6 grams of leucine. So you essentially have to eat 1,000 calories of oats to get 1 spike of muscle protein synthesis. Bear in mind, you can get 5 in a day. So this is not going to be a very fantastic option for building muscle. When we look at the DIAS score as well, it's between 0.4 and 0.55. So it's an incomplete protein source. Using oats by themselves to build muscle doesn't make sense, okay? If you're maybe adding a scoop of protein powder to your oats and you're just using oats as a bit of carbohydrates, fine, that's good, but oats by themselves are not going to be a great option for building muscle. So that's why they're in at number 3. Just because you see your favorite bodybuilder eating oats doesn't mean he's eating the oats by themselves to build muscle. In at spot number 2. This one was really interesting to me. We have collagen protein. They might be thinking, well, collagen protein, isn't that just a pure protein source? Isn't that just great for my hair, skin, and nails? It's good for your hair, skin, and nails, not good for building muscle. Yes, collagen is a pure protein, but collagen is a very, very incomplete protein. So when we look at 200 grams or 200 calories of collagen protein, you're getting 42 grams of protein. So you're getting a huge amount of protein in 200 calories. However, you're only getting 0.6 grams of leucine, okay? Not even close to enough to actually stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So unless you're doing, what would it be? Nearly 5 scoops of protein powder of collagen protein to get your one spike of muscle protein synthesis, not going to be a great option. Now, what's the DIAS score of collagen protein? 0. This has a DIAS score of 0 because it is an incomplete protein. It doesn't have all of the essential amino acids to actually build muscle. Think about building muscle like building a house, right? You need the cement, you need the brick, you need the steel. You need all of the things combined. You need all the ingredients to build the house. If you have all the steel and all the brick, but you have no cement, you can't build a house. That's the same thing with collagen powder. It's just lacking all of the essential amino acids to actually build muscle. So it's actually a terrible option for building muscle. And this is one of the big issues with a lot of the protein bars, is that they fill their protein bars with collagen protein. And collagen protein is not effective for building muscle. So you think you're getting in all of this protein, but your body can't actually use it by itself to build muscle. So that's why a lot of these protein bars suck. And that is why collagen protein itself to build muscle is terrible. It is a shocking option. Before we get to spot number 1, honorable mention here is vegetables. Now, I didn't include vegetables because I didn't want to insult the intelligence of my viewer. I assume you guys are intelligent people and know that vegetables are not going to help you build muscle, but when you're younger, your parents probably said, you got to eat your vegetables, it'll make you big and strong. No, it won't actually. It will probably help you lose fat, but vegetables are not going to help you build muscle whatsoever. When we look at 200 grams of vegetables, of course, it's going to depend on which vegetable you choose, but you're looking at between 12 and 18 grams of protein, so not a whole lot, and you're going to have a leucine amount of about 0.5 grams. So not a whole lot of leucine, not a whole lot of protein. It's going to have a DIAS score between 0.3 and 0.6. It's just an incomplete protein source. It's not going to help you build muscle. If you were eating something like spinach, for example, to get 30 grams of protein, in fact, you wouldn't even get 30 grams of protein. You would need to eat a kilo of spinach. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever seen a kilo of spinach before, but that would be like eating that much spinach to get not even 30 grams of a low quality incomplete protein. So it's not really going to help you build muscle. Vegetables is a great one because it's full of water, full of fiber, so it's going to help you feel full and not overeat. So it'll be great for losing weight. Vegetables is not going to help you build muscle though, unfortunately. In at spot number 1, we have peanut butter, the most overrated food on the planet. Peanut butter is absolutely disgraceful for building muscle. I don't know why we consider this a health food that's going to be great for helping you build muscle. This is a shocking option if you want to build muscle. It's also a shocking option if you want to lose fat. The only reason that you would eat peanut butter is if you were trying to get fat. That is literally the only reason you would eat peanut butter. Now you might be thinking, well, I heard that peanut butter has a lot of protein in it. Nah. Peanut butter, about 7.5 grams of protein per 200 calories. And in that 200 calories, you're only getting about 0.5 grams of leucine. So you'd have to eat about 1,000 calories of peanut butter to receive enough leucine to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which, to be fair, would not be hard considering peanut butter is so full of calories. Because peanut butter is essentially pure fat, getting 1,000 calories is probably like 4 or 5 tablespoons. I mean, if you just heaped up a tablespoon, that's probably 200 calories right there. You can see why this thing is not going to be very good for building muscle, but also shocking for losing weight. It also has a DIAS score of 0.4 to 0.5. So it's an incomplete, terrible source of protein. Peanut butter absolutely sucks. The only time I've ever used peanut butter was when I was on a keto diet and I just wasn't getting enough calories in. So I thought, well, how do I get more calories in? I'm pretty poor and all this keto stuff is really expensive. I know, I'll just eat a bunch of peanut butter because that stuff has so many calories and it is so damn cheap. So the only reason I used peanut butter was just to get in a bunch of extra calories. So if for some reason you're trying to get fat, then by all means, go for peanut butter. But it's not going to help you build muscle. It is not going to help you lose fat. That is why it is the most overrated food for building muscle. So that's the end of the video. It was just my opinion here. So let me know if you agree or disagree with me. What would you add to this list? What would you take away? If you like the video, then like it, subscribe to this YouTube channel. There's probably a video somewhere around here that you might be interested in. So I will see you in one of those.